I'm going to be blunt with you right here. If you like that at impact, there is literally no point adding speed. It just won't go any further. Now, any golfer can access this flexion at impact. You just got to follow these 3 simple, easy stages. So we need to know this. This is extension. This is flexion. So simply, we need this more bowed look at impact, rather than when we're adding loft to our golf club, we're more likely in this scenario. So before we go any further, I need you to look at this slow-mo right here. What we're looking for as you're coming down into impact is somewhere between 0 and 10 degrees of flexion of this lead wrist. So if you look at that in a 3D model there, as I'm making the swings, we're looking for it to be somewhere around here at impact. In the 2D model, we're looking for it to be somewhere around here, as opposed to being in this scenario. From here to here. If we're looking at the left side of the screen, we're wanting to be more like this position at impact, not here, to taking loft off. I know this might feel strange at first, but once you get it, then you can start adding your speed. Then you can start seeing extra bonus yards come in. So the first drill I want you to do is what I call the drag drill. Simply address the golf ball, and what you'll notice at the address position, I have around sort of 16, 17 degrees of extension. That's just this right here. What I need you to do now to get this feel, move the club to around your trail foot, just that position there. Now, follow this order. Hips go, left wrist starts to move into flexion. Now look at the feelings I'm getting there. Now watch the side of the screen. Look how the numbers start to move into negative. And where did we say we wanted it to get to? 0 to -8, -10 as a feeling. Now I'm really exaggerating that and that action of that drag. Part 2, and this is where people go wrong, T-peg drill. Place it in the ground, and all I need you to do is make some half swings back. Feel the hips, feel the drag, hit, and never let the club head overtake your hands. So look at that, -4 at impact, just as we're wanting it to be. So if you look at the screen right now, we're wanting to have more of that flexion, more of that into the golf ball by something around about there. Not where we were in that scenario there.
So repeat that for 8 to 12 reps. And what I want you to think about this is the whole process of hitting the T-peg is to get that feeling that you're making contact with something, but without consequence. So many of us want to improve our golf swing quickly, and I get it. We all want immediate success, but we have to get reps in. Reps without consequence, allowing us not to react to ball flight, but really improve and build some muscle memory in exactly what we're trying to feel. So take a closer look at this slow-mo. You can really see I'm working on flexing that lead wrist, and just think about that simply as the knuckles moving away from your wrist joint, really feeling that slowly. I'm not whipping it, I'm not doing it aggressively. It's a gradual motion. For every movement my hand takes down to the golf ball, I'm feeling a little bit of flexion. And simply think of this as getting some good quality reps without reacting to ball flight. And if I was to start over again with exactly how I think about my iron shots, this is what I would do.
Now the sensation is key. Remember, between 0 and 10 degrees of flexion at impact, and then you let it go. And then you let it go. So at stage 3, I need you to hit, for the first ball, working 3 golf balls, a half shot. So something a little bit like this. Look at that finish. Look at that finish. I'm not too bothered about the top number. What we're looking at is that impact number, again, in there.
So I hear you saying this. What's this actually doing to my golf swing? How's this actually going to make me hit the golf ball further? Well, just let me explain. Nice and simple. We're looking for more flexion. Another term you will have heard is potentially more bowed. Well, there's a direct correlation between having a more bowed wrist, more flexion at impact, and more shaft lean. The more shaft lean you have, the more you take loft off the golf club. And also, the more shaft lean we have, we tend to hit down on the golf ball more. Bring those two elements together, taking loft off the golf club with more flexion and a downwards hit. you will hit the golf ball further. You're making the hit more efficient for two reasons. One, you're going to find more of the middle of the club where the mass and the power is because you move the strike from the bottom groove to 3-4. Also, you actually take loft off the golf club, so you're turning your 7-iron into a 6-iron, which means it travels further. You really will see, I reckon, this sounds outlandish right now, but between 15 and 20 yards. That's a club longer, and I know you're capable of that. So nice and simple. You're going to hit down more, you're going to take loft off the golf club, and you're going to have shaft lean. You put all these into a really good recipe, and exactly the opposite to what you're doing now, that's why you're going to hit the ball further. But if I had to put this in layman's terms, a really simple thing, the more flexion you have, your hands win the race from the top of the downswing into impact, whereas before, the club head was winning the race, creating a weaker scenario. Get the hands to win the race, and think about that as more flexion. But we're not finished there.
So if your first shot was a half swing, half finish, your next shot needs to be now a full backswing, half finish. Like that. Just like that. And actually, I did that far too much into impact. Far too much flexion. But remember,
it's a drill. I really like overtraining. That concept of when you're on the range, doing it more than you should. Because I know for a fact, I see this with club golfers, pro golfers, mid-handicap golfers. We overtrain on the range, we get on the golf course, and we result to a little bit more to type. So if we can look at this as a spectrum of, okay, over-exaggerate on the course, find that middle ground, I know that's how you're going to improve over time. And it does take time. But let's really analyze this full backswing half shot and really feel that half shot. This will actually turn into a shot on the golf course that you may use into wind. You may use it as your go-to shot actually with those scoring irons. Something I do and I feel way more accurate. But let's look at the nooks of what's going on here. You can really see that half finish is making me feel that I've got to have more flexion. It forces me to rotate better with my body, open those hips up more. Take yourself back to the first drill that we did, that drag drill. This is bringing every element of that drag drill into a more real life scenario, something you can replicate and actually use out on the golf course. And that's how you improve your golf. You're never going to complete the golf swing. What you are going to do is start to move the needle over time to a better, more repeatable, efficient pattern.
When you're ready to take your final shot, which is just full swing, full finish, working towards the same exact feelings. And proof really is in the pudding. So going back to the start of this video, we've gone from there adding loft to now somewhere like this, taking loft off. And that's how you're going to hit it further.